Thursday morning here on KSJE, and joining me here in the studio, my guest from San Juan County, the San Juan County Treasurer, Carol Taulbee is here. Good morning, and thank you for coming in this morning.
Good morning, Scott. It's nice to be here.
Good to have you back. Also, Jimmy Voita is back. He is a San Juan County Assessor. I knew I was going to do that. I'm going to do it all morning. I apologize. Welcome back. You were just here a couple weeks ago.
Yes,
Couldn't stay away.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Same to you. None of us are wearing green. We're all terrible people, but that's okay. We'll run home and change after this show.
Sounds good.
Good to have you all here with me to talk a little bit about the work that you all do for San Juan County. And it's springtime, and so that's when we start hearing from both of your departments. And so, Carol Taulbee, tell me a little bit about the Treasurer's Office. Of course, we pay property taxes through the Treasurer's Office, and so you send out notifications, I think, twice a year, right, to homeowners, property owners?
Yes, we send out, the tax notice is sent out we send it out November 1st, and that has the opportunity to pay. We pay in December and then May, and
Right.
we send 3 coupons out. In the spring, we send a reminder coupon out to anyone who does not have a mortgage but still has a balance. So if you haven't paid your second half and you're not escrowed through a mortgage, then you'll be getting a nice little present from us.
That's one way of looking at it, right? Because you're right. A lot of folks who have a mortgage, their mortgage company probably takes care of making sure their property taxes are paid because they have an escrow account and things along that I have learned as a property owner and things along that line. But if you no longer have a mortgage, you paid it all off, then that becomes your responsibility.
Correct. Right. And we do send in the fall, we send to everybody on the tax roll, even if they have a mortgage, because actually that statute that we have to send them a notice, and then of course we get a lot of questions from people because they got a tax notice and their mortgage company pays it, but there's a little box on that tax statement, and if that box is checked, it's called a mortgage flag, and that just lets people know that they don't need to worry about it. Their mortgage is going to take care of it.
Right.
So.
That's what to look for, I guess, right? To make sure.
Yep.
And so around the same time, Jimmy Voita, your office is sending out notices of valuation, which are connected but different from the tax notice, correct?
That's right.
Very different.
We mail, actually this year we're going to mail on the same day, so you will get 2 love letters in the same day.
Okay, from San Juan County.
That's right.
Yes.
But ours is, we're required by statute. We mail out every year a notice of value, and after you receive your notice of value, you have 30 days to appeal your value. So it's real important that you open it up and check it out and take a look at it. Make sure that value's correct or it's not too high. Oddly enough, most people don't let us know when it's too low.
I wonder why that is. Interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, and let me ask you what would cause that. I mean, again, I know it's always interesting, I think, when I get mine and to take a look and see if it went up or down. Some years it's gone down a little bit. Some years it's gone up a little bit. And so it's really, there's a lot of laws and things about that policy or that formula too, isn't there?
Right, yeah. And we, a lot of people have questions about their property goes up 3% per year. And that's by statute. What happened probably, I think in the around 2001 or so, in the Rio Grande corridor, especially Santa Fe, people were literally being taxed out of their houses. So they set up some legislation where you can only increase the value 3% per year, or you should, until it reaches market value, or you sell the house, or you do some improvements. So it keeps people from, what was happening, literally being taxed out of their houses. These were generational houses, and, they couldn't afford the tax. The values were going up so much they couldn't afford the taxes anymore.
Right. So that's been limited. So it's limited at 3% per year.
Right, yeah. So and that's just the value side of it. So it can only go up 3% per year. And that only applies to houses. It doesn't apply to commercial or non-residential property. But, and a lot of people don't realize it, but it really is a benefit to them, especially our senior citizens who are on a fixed income. They don't see shouldn't see big, huge, large increases in their property taxes.
Right. But as you said, if someone sells that house and then the new homeowner comes in, just bought this house, and all of a sudden, surprise, kind of, right? Their tax bill is much larger than maybe it was the previous year because that 3% is no longer in effect, and now you can go with the market value.
And then it's supposed to go up to market value. And, you see that a lot of people raise their family and they have a bigger house because they raise their kids, and they decide, well, we want to downsize. We don't have all these kids in the house anymore. They move to a smaller house, and boom, it's called tax lightning. Their taxes are higher than it was on their larger house.
At the smaller house, even
yeah,
though,
kind of an unintended consequence of the legislation.
Right.
Yeah.
But that is kind of how it works, and I guess that's kind of, as folks are shopping for property, they're probably advised to keep that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I would hope so. Yeah.
Because I know some of those publicly available numbers of property taxes, again, they could be a lot of whack if they've been owned by the same person for a while.
Right. Yep.
I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Like my parents have lived in the house, I think, for the same house for 40 years now, and their
Right.
neighbors, they're all, it's the same kind of people. And, they won't reach market value until my parents pass away. I'm sure they'll stay in that same house for, another as long as they live. So.
Sure. Right. But that helps too, I guess, the greater good in that then it gets the properties more closer to what the value is in the market, right?
Right,
As they
yeah.
change hands or as things happen.
Yeah, and and there's some other things like my parents. They could have exact same house as their neighbor, and
Yeah.
my parents are older and established, and they can afford higher property taxes. Or they'll tell you they can't, but I think they can.
Okay, I was going to say, these are your parents you're talking about, but all right.
And let's say you get a young neighbor.
That'll be a fun Sunday dinner conversation at the Voita house, all right.
But let's say you get somebody in their early 20s who's just starting out a family, and they can barely afford the property taxes, and their value could be,
Lot
50% higher than my parents. So there's, they've tried to fix it legislatively, and nobody can come to an agreement on that. But there are some unintended consequences of it. It makes
Right.
it kind of tough.
This is what we have.
Yes.
These are laws on the books today. So
Right,
that's
yep.
what's going on. And so Carol Taulbee, I know it's very important for folks to make sure their addresses are correct for these, as Jimmy Voita says, love letters from San Juan County to make sure they get to their intended recipients, right? Because you only have maybe 30 days or what have you to respond to some of these things, correct?
Right, and according to statute, not receiving a tax bill doesn't negate your tax liability. I mean, people know.
If
they
only,
know.
right?
Yeah.
Gosh, I never got it. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, and we have people come in after the deadline, and it's like, I didn't get a tax bill, and it's like, I'm sorry, I don't have any authority to waive penalty and interest. I mean, I sent out the bill, I sent it out to the address on file, and, if you didn't get it, I'm sorry, but I'm sure you knew that, you had
Right.
taxes coming up. So that's kind of where we're at there.
Sure. I mean, I think everyone who owns property should know that there's a payment due in the fall and in the spring.
Yes.
And if your mortgage company doesn't pay it, it's you.
Right.
There's nobody else
Right.
that is responsible for that, right? And so I guess the problem would be maybe if you're not living at the property, or you've moved, or you have a PO box and you've changed that, or I guess whatever the case may be.
A lot of those different scenarios factor in. One of the things that we're trying to do is get emails. So, and I believe Jimmy's office is also trying to garner emails so that we can email these tax notices and these notice of values. And so if someone wants to get an email tax notice, they can go to www.sjcounty.net and click on either the assessor, the county assessor, or the county treasurer. And I believe there's a place on my website where they can click and send me their email address.
Okay.
And then whenever I do the tax notices, they'll still probably get a paper coupon, but they'll also get an email coupon.
Gotcha.
So.
And Jimmy Voita, is that what you're planning to do as well? Send out both? If you have
Yeah.
an email address in addition to a physical address?
Well, on our website, we have a spot as well where they can sign up for emails. And here for the next year or two, we'll send them both, and eventually we'll just switch to all email if that's what they want, or we're happy to mail it either
Right.
way.
It's still the property owner's preference, I suppose, for both of your departments, correct, as to what they
Right.
do. So
And I think with us, and probably Jimmy also, is that we don't have enough participation yet to really stop the paper
Sure.
emails. We need to get more participation. So this is good, folks. We need your emails. We'll be happy to send you a nice little present via email.
there you go. And I would assume that would eventually save the county some money if you're not
Yes.
having to print and postage and mail and all
Yes.
that to all your property owners, right?
Yeah, and
So-
postage is just crazy.
Yeah. So
So.
that would be good. Very good. And so let's talk about valuations again, Jimmy, for just a little bit, because again, this is when that's coming out. So you send me a notice of valuation. I look at it. I'm just like, well, I don't know what they're smoking over there at the assessor's office, but that's way off. And so I can ask that be looked at, or I can challenge that number, right? Isn't that my right as a property owner?
Well, first off, I don't think the cannabis laws have come into effect yet, so
Okay.
it's, if they're smoking, it's
I see.
just tobacco.
It's on their time. All right, I understand.
On their time. But yes.
Poor
so-
choice of words on the host part. My apologies. So I disagree with the number. What can I do?
And we want people to, if you disagree with it, wouldn't look at it as like necessarily a conflict. Let us know. We want to partner with you. We don't want to take advantage of anybody. We want to make sure and get the value right. So by law, you have 30 days to appeal the value. So, let us call. Come in, email us, whatever. Let us know, and let's get it right. After the 30-day period, you can still protest, but then you have to file in district court, and then you probably need to hire an attorney. It just really complicates the matter. So if just open it up, take a look at the value. If the value's wrong, let us know. We want to get it right. That's what we're there to do.
Right, and personal experience, I can say that I did that once, and you sent out another group of folks to come and assess the property again, and it did change a little bit. So
Yeah.
it was worth the time, I think, to ask for a second look.
Yeah, absolutely. We're not, and I'll be the first one to admit, we're not perfect. We value over 58,000 accounts, and, we get it wrong occasionally,
Sure, understood. And so folks should pay attention to that, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is the point, right?
Yes,
And you are
please.
using, what tools does your staff use, I guess, to come up with the value of the property? Are they looking at sales figures from comparable properties in the area? When we're talking about residential, I know you do everything because you're doing industrial and commercial and other stuff as well. But for residential, what do your team use? What does your team use?
Residentially, primarily, we'll trend neighborhoods. So we'll look at a neighborhood and say, take a group of houses from that neighborhood and kind of look at the square footage and the quality of condition and trend out that neighborhood. And then we'll kind of adjust they call them cost tables. And, and we should try to mimic what the market's doing. So we'll use sales and try to determine what the market's doing and get a value that way. And that's
see.
for residential. Yeah.
Right. Got you. And so, and I know some folks will always say, well, gosh, there's a lot of vacant homes on my street. That's going to drive down my property values, and we don't want that. Does that come into play, or is that different?
The last year, I don't know if you...
Yeah, I don't know where there's a vacant house in San Juan County
Yeah,
at the
I
moment.
mean,
but
rental, it's really a...
it's a seller's market. I heard.
Yeah, it is. And we've already we're getting ready to mail out the notice of values, and our values are going to stay roughly the same as last year's, and there'll be some changes, but, we haven't seen a huge price increase, which kind of surprises me, because nationwide, we've really seen a, run up in prices.
Right.
You even look at Durango, I mean, it's just been crazy. I think I read an article about it a couple of weeks ago, and I think realtors were saying it was 20 or 30 or 40% increase. I mean, just some phenomenal price increase. But we do have a lot of we've got a lot of sales. We don't have a lot of vacancies, but we haven't we haven't seen a huge increase or that much of an increase in prices.
Right.
So, yeah.
And so I guess that's good that folks aren't going to be able to, or not going to see a big increase maybe in the valuation is what you're telling
Yep.
us. And so,
Yeah.
Carol,
I was just going to say, that's comforting to me, Jimmy. Thank you.
right? Exactly.
I was a little bit concerned about the appraisal market and how it was looking and what that would do to my values. So.
Yeah, and we, like I was saying earlier, we look at it by neighborhood, and I'm talking generally, we haven't seen a big increase. So,
Right.
and we're just talking about residential here. So,
Of course.
Yeah.
And I know there's the other types of properties are done maybe a little bit differently. And I know even for
Right.
like the big properties like power plants and mines, I think the state has a crew that comes in and does the values on those properties, don't they?
They do. Yep. So they value the power plants, mines, communications equipment. There's certain things that they do, and we still kind of oversee that. I've had to get involved with some of that stuff with the state, but they are in charge of that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Very good. And so we've talked about the value of the property, but then there's, I guess, the exemptions and ways to maybe lower that value when it comes into the tax formula and things along that line. And that's another thing I know you like talking about to let folks know, because they may be eligible for things that they have to ask for it, I guess. And if they don't get it. It doesn't automatically show up on their valuation.
That's correct. Yeah. So there's, and the first one would be just the head of family or the head of household. So all you have to do is own the property and live in it, and you get $2,000 off the taxable value, which would save you
Roughly around $50.
$50, yeah, a year.
Right. Okay.
And it's just a simple form. You apply for it once, and as long as you continue to own and live in the house, it's reapplied every year.
Right.
So, please take advantage of that. Your neighbors probably are. You should be too. The next one is the Veterans Exemption. So if you're an honorably discharged veteran, you can get $4,000 off your property. And if your wife is a veteran as well, you can get an additional $4,000. Another thing, too, is we have a lot of people that live on the reservation here in San Juan County. And if they don't own property, if they live on the reservation, they can use that Veterans Exemption for a vehicle. So, we ask them to take advantage of that, yeah. We got the senior freeze, so if they make less than, it changes every year. This year if you make less than $37,300 a year in income, then they'll freeze your value back to a certain year. You got to be 65 years of age or older, and then make less than that $37,300. And there's a big, complicated formula by statute, but we encourage you to take advantage of it. If you're making less than $37,300, then come on in, and you're over 65.
Right.
And that's really the tough ones when the seniors come in. And they're like, we're on a fixed income, and the taxes have gone up, and we got to choose between food and paying the taxes. It's it's heartbreaking. So,
right. And that's what these laws were designed, I think, to try to help with, right?
Yeah.
Folks take advantage of them. So
absolutely. So
that's important to note, I think.
Yeah. Yep. And
Very
if you're 100% disabled, a veteran, or if you're 100% disabled and low income, there's the 100% disabled veterans don't pay any property taxes, and the 100% disabled low income, there's a break for them as well.
Okay.
So, please call our office. I got a great staff. They do a great job. They're there to help the citizens of San Juan County, and they want to. So call us. We'll help you out if we can.
Good to know. And I know you've been doing things over the phone. Folks can come in person these days, can they? I mean,
yes.
The restrictions are kind of lowered a little bit, right? As if folks want to come in person and talk to someone.
Yeah, absolutely. They're more than welcome to come in.
That hasn't always been the case the last 2 years. I know that. So
yeah, it's been open and closed for a while, and kind of
Right.
back and forth. And nope, they're more than welcome to come in now.
You're open. And Carol, you were going to add something too to our.
Well, I was going to say that might be a really good time with Jimmy talking about our senior citizens and the senior freeze. Back in 2016, our former treasurer, Mark Duncan, he took a resolution to the county commission so that our taxpayers could pay monthly in 10 installments. And it's based on your prior year values or your prior year taxes. So if you had a $1,000 tax bill last year, then you can pay us $100 a month. You have to be current. It begins June 1st, so they would send us every month for 10 months with a potential true-up in December in case once the taxes roll and there's a variance. But this kind of helps for folks who, I don't know what our legislators were thinking of years ago when they made our taxes due at Christmas and graduation summer.
Right.
So this just gives folks a chance to pay on a monthly basis, and then they're not hit with large tax bills twice a year.
Right. You can
So-
budget, I guess, monthly, right?
Yeah.
Along with your other monthly bills, I suppose.
Right.
And that's
And-
what it's designed to do.
Yes. And so you technically, if we do 10 months, then you're going to pay it off the end of March, and then you have just a little bit of a reprieve for a couple of months before you pick back up again. And so one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you today was to kind of just let people know about this program and let them know that it's out there and available.
And this is for any taxpayer or just seniors?
Any taxpayer.
Anybody, though, any property tax?
Any property
owner.
Yeah, any property owner that pays their own taxes can call us and get set up on our payment plan, and we'll take your money every month. We don't have any problem at all
Right.
with that. So it's just a good benefit. But I really can see it helping the senior citizens.
Right.
Just because then they're not coming up with large amounts of money.
Sure. No, that doesn't make sense. And so, but again, they have to ask for it, right? They have to sign up for it. It's not
They do.
automatic. You know,
They
you're not
do.
going to call them and say, hey, you're maybe eligible for this program. So folks
Right.
need to know about it.
Right.
And you do by watching this program and by calling the county treasurer's office and then signing up. Or
Right.
coming in person, which they
Yeah.
can do in your office too.
They can, if they'll come in, we'll get them signed up with a form, and it's basically an agreement. And then we'll also send them home with some payment coupons so that they can just pop it in the mail and send it to our P.O. box.
Okay.
So we try to make it as easy as we can for them.
Right.
So,
And that's not available in every county, as you said. That was really the last treasurer who put this forward to the county commission who approved it. And so we have this
Right.
special circumstance in San Juan County that you may not, if you're moving here from somewhere else, you may think that's very new and different because it is.
right. Well, it is statute, but each county has to implement it.
To adopt it or not.
To adopt
I
it,
see.
yeah. So, so fortunately, Mark had the foresight to do it because it's really, I mean, I just paid off my house, and
Congratulations.
I am going to get on the payment plan, so I don't have to come up with, this big Christmas payment in the middle of December to go to
Right.
to gift San Juan County.
Right. Just add it to your monthly bills.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, it's divided into 10 payments, and so there are 2 months that you don't have any payment.
Right.
And of course, there is a little bit of a true up
Right.
if the assessor comes over and says your value went up or down, and so that would affect your tax
Right.
liability, I guess, or
Right,
whatever you
and
owe.
and by December you've paid 7 payments in. So even if it is, that extra additional payment there hopefully would cover the 3% or anything that factored in. Where I could see it being a problem is if you made a major improvement and your taxes went up considerably.
Right. And that doesn't happen very often, but
No.
that's important. Jimmy?
You'll see those, where we've seen in the past, some kind of big tax rate swings in Aztec and Bloomfield because they've got so much value tied into oil and gas. The oil and gas numbers go down, those rates go up, and we've seen some kind of big shifts in taxes because of their rates, because they have so much value in oil and gas in Aztec and Bloomfield.
And that value pays the debt service. And so
Right.
when oil and gas doesn't pay the debt service, then that falls back on the property owner.
Exactly right.
And I think that's an important thing maybe just talk about for just a minute, because these are the debt service maybe that's been incurred by the city or the schools in those areas. Is that what we're talking about? Mostly schools?
Is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, and you're right. So then, and those communities are more dependent, I guess, on the oil and gas than maybe, let's say, Farmington, which has a bit more of a diversified economy with some of the retail and other things that we see. And so when there's a big swing in energy, oil and gas, if that goes down, then who's left holding the bag, so to speak, is the residential property owners. Is that how you'd explain
You
it?
nailed that right on the head. That's exactly
That's
right.
it.
And it's
Yeah.
it's tough for them. I get it. But that's what it is. And they those GO bonds, the general obligation bonds, go out to the voters, and they're just about always approved. Which I want the best for my kids too. But what happens is they base them on the current whatever the current numbers are, and then you see the oil and gas numbers go down, and all of a sudden those rates are going up, and the people's property taxes, they get an increase, which is tough.
Right. Now, is that still limited by the 3%?
No,
It wouldn't.
No.
That's rate.
That's
Oh,
the
the
rate.
rate, pardon me.
That's
So-
a whole
That's
different side of
different.
it. Yeah. So
That's
there's
part of it.
valuation.
See, it's math, and when it's math, I'm just trying really hard over here. But yeah,
Me too.
thank you. Okay, but thank you. But it is so it's part of the formula that comes up with the tax liability or the tax payment that the property needs to pay.
Exactly, and that formula was determined by the state legislature, and it's a complex formula. But I mean that's the nuts and bolts of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
But I understand.
I would interject that San Juan County is one of the lower rates in the state as far as mill rates for taxes. But the state determines our base rate every year, and then they take yield control into consideration, which kind of looks at different things, markets and things like that. And then
Inflation. Yep.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, the fluctuations, and it kind of levels out the fluctuations. So, but the rates come from the state.
Right.
We have the ability, the county has the ability to impose mills, but the rate itself
That's
is
from the state.
calculated by the state, yeah.
And that gets dropped into that formula, and that's how we get these numbers that we're talking about, and things along that line.
Yeah.
And I know I have a lot of friends back east, and when I talk about what I pay in property taxes, they really are jealous of me. And anyone who lives, I think, in New Mexico, because our property, I mean, if you compare it to a state like New York, which is where I grew up, I mean, our property taxes don't come anywhere near what folks pay in some of these other states.
That's
for
right.
whatever reason, and they're just set up differently.
They're all set up differently. Yeah, New York and some of those northeastern states, they are real high. You know, my sister lives in eastern Texas, and they don't have state income tax, but they have super high property tax. So, you know, it's kind of a
Kind of
however
evens
that,
out a little
yeah,
bit, maybe,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. But we're absolutely fortunate to have low property taxes in our state.
Right, compared to other places. I know some folks may still struggle, and I understand that, but
You know, I've got something to kind of add on to that, which
Yeah.
I think is kind of interesting. Is, you know, that's come up the last couple years. I've heard discussion from some legislators about our property taxes may be too low. Which,
Uh-oh.
yeah, I mean, I don't agree with that. I think
Right.
that, you know, but you know, it has, and I don't think much is taken off from that. But they have discussed that, how we're possibly, in their opinion, too low.
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that would be interesting to talk about in another other program, maybe with some candidates if they feel that way. So we'll have to see. But for right now, they are what they are, right?
Yes.
Yes.
No one's proposing increasing.
No, I haven't.
Any
No,
kind
I've
of
heard some
legislation.
discussions, but I've
Yeah.
never heard any proposals.
Very, very good. Well, we just have a few minutes remaining this morning, both of you. And so, Carol Taulbee, I know you wanted to mention a little bit about a new address.
Yes.
Right? And tell me about that.
So in the fall, we switched our lockbox collection center from Denver to Albuquerque. And so there is a new mailing address. We'll send out payment coupons, and the people that use the payment coupons, there wasn't an issue or a problem. But I think a lot of people plug it into their bill pay. So they need to know that there's a new remit address that can be found on our website. I can
Okay.
also read it off.
Yeah,
if
go ahead.
Somebody
Give it to
has
our
a
radio listeners this morning, sure.
Yeah, so you're going to send it to San Juan County Treasurer, Department number 31087, and that's P.O. Box 27839, Albuquerque, New Mexico. The zip is 87125.
Okay.
And but just notice, and we're going to send out flyers and our payment coupons also, or a little
Reminder sticker.
reminder
card. Yeah.
sticker, to update your
Bill pay.
remit address.
Right.
Yes.
If you do it automatically through your bank
Yes.
or what have you, I understand. And I guess if anything goes to this Denver address, would they still forward these things for a little while?
Yes, they
Till
will.
we get it going? Okay.
They will, but I was surprised. We sent out the new addresses in the fall, and probably a third of the collections still went to Denver. So that just tells me that there's that many people that use bill pay
Right.
or whatever they have in their system.
And
So-
just need to pay attention and update
Mm-hmm.
from time to time when necessary. And we were going to talk about tax releases, and so talk to me a little bit about what those are.
So, whenever people want to, motor vehicle won't release the title until their property taxes are paid, which is really, really good for mobile homes.
Right.
Also, moving permits. And I think what I just wanted people to know is that, one, there's a fee. You know, it's a $5 fee to get a tax release. When you get that tax release, you are paying in advance what is owed for the current year, and that is because we haven't billed yet for the year. I don't bill until November 1st. So, but the other thing I want people to know is that they need to start in the assessor's office. They generate that tax release, and then it comes over to us. And so many people will come in and start in our office, and then we have to send them back to Jimmy's office. But also, certified funds need to be used when they do pay for that tax release or the moving permit. The moving permit is $25. But motor vehicle department won't release a title unless they see that the lien's been released from the county on the mobile homes.
I see. And that happens pretty regularly, I would
yeah.
think, right?
Yeah,
when
all
you're trying
month
to
long.
sell or buy or whatever the case may be. And so, Jimmy, they have to come to you first then in your office.
Yeah, we'll
to start
get
that process.
Yes, yep. And,
Yeah.
and
They
get
kind of
going.
instigate it, and then they send over. It actually whatever our systems are designed to work together, and so they can generate it, and then it comes over and prints off of our printer, and then we collect the fee, give them the release, give them a nice big green sticker if they're moving their mobile home.
Gotcha.
And the sheriff's department looks for those
I bet they do, right?
They
Make
look
sure.
for those big green stickers, so be sure and get your moving permit.
Okay, very good. And so in the next few weeks, we should be watching for a letter from both of your departments. You call it a love letter. I don't know if I'd go that far, but okay. But we're going to get our notice of valuation from the assessor's office and a reminder about the second half of the property taxes that are to be due this spring in 2022.
Right.
From your office, the treasurer's
Right.
office.
The due dates are actually, technically, the due date is April 10th with a 30-day grace period. So if we haven't received it in our office by May 10th, then on May 11th, there'll be penalty and interest.
Got you.
So
We don't want that to happen. So, very good. Great. Thank you both for coming in this morning. Great
Thank
to see
you.
you both. Thank you very much.
thank you for helping us get the word out on this information, Scott.
You bet. You bet. Great to, and I'm slowly learning more about it, so that's been helpful for me too. So, even though it's math, but thank you for your patience with me. My guest this morning from San Juan County, the San Juan County Assessor and Treasurer, here with me on KSJE.